If you spare me 9 minutes, just 9 minutes, I will help you edit your YouTube videos literally 10 times faster. No overhyped plugins, no productivity hacks that only work for AI robots, just real usable stuff, especially if you don't want to be editing forever and you want to focus on your content itself as an owner of your content, not a worker inside of your content. Because if we're being completely honest, a lot of you watching this, you don't actually want to be editing. You're just likely in a stage where hiring an editor is too expensive, or maybe you're just trying to grow your channel before handing it off. But either way, editing is probably eating up hours of your week and it's mentally draining. So with that being said, I'm going to give you guys the exact things that I do to speed it all up for myself and for creators I work with without sacrificing any quality. And this is coming from someone who was a video editor for several years for really big creators on YouTube before transitioning naturally into YouTube strategy. But you need to understand that this isn't about becoming the best editor, okay? This video is about becoming fast enough to get your content out there consistently without burning out. Because the truth is, the faster that you can go from idea to publish, the quicker you can grow, because the more chances we're giving people to see us. And the only way to do that without going absolutely insane or just burning out and quitting is through a solid workflow. So that leads me to the first tip, which is edit one thing at a time. And I mean this seriously. This is something that nobody ever really talks about, but it literally has sped up my workflow exponentially, and it will transform how fast you work. Stop trying to do everything all at once. Stop trying to edit the music, the A-roll, the B-roll, animations, the color grading, all for the first 10 seconds, and then you do all that for 10 seconds at a time. This will make edits take forever and be mentally draining. So edit just the A-roll first. Get your narrative locked in. Don't touch the music, don't touch the B-roll, don't touch color grading, don't touch anything. Don't even think about effects. Then once you're done with that one task of cutting the actual A-roll, then you can move on to the next layer. Maybe it's music, maybe it's B-roll, and then you move on, but you complete a full task throughout the entire video before moving on to the next one. Because if there's anything that I've learned as an editor and working with a lot of editors is that it's multitasking while editing that will make you exponentially slow. Because multitasking while editing doesn't make you faster, it just makes your brain tired. So focus on one job at a time and flow through it that way. In fact, this is, as I said, exactly what I do to make sure that I stay on track when editing my own videos. I use a custom checklist actually that I've made. By the way, if you guys want this checklist completely for free for you to have while you're editing to keep you super efficient, I'm going to give it away to you, as I said, completely for free. But all you need to do is sign up to my newsletter below, where every single week I release free emails on the topic of basically everything YouTube growth related. I also release cool templates and really cool freebies like this checklist right here. So make sure you sign up with the first link in the description below to join the newsletter for free, and I will send you the editing checklist straight to your inbox. Now, the second tip is to use keyboard shortcuts literally like your life depends on it. Because when I started, I did not care about keyboard shortcuts. I was like, yeah, sure, it saves time, whatever. But my God, when I really gave it the time of day, it changed the amount of, it changed my life because I was editing literally like 10 times faster. I used to waste so much time clicking around with my mouse until I realized that the real pros, they barely touch their mouse. It looks like they're typing while editing, and it's because of shortcuts. Shortcuts aren't about being flashy, it's about compounding things together, because you end up saving 2 to 5 seconds per action. That's like multiple minutes per edit that you begin to save. That compounds over a lot of time. So if you're editing and you're editing in either Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, or Final Cut Pro, just go to custom keyboard shortcuts or custom keys, usually in the preferences. And I would recommend basically making keyboard shortcuts for Blade Tool, for Ripple Delete, for adding a marker, for zooming in and out of your timeline. And as I said, just to please assign the keyboard shortcut M to make a marker if it isn't already. And I'll explain to you why in just a little bit. But one last really quick tip here before I do, and it's instead of using your mouse and your keyboard to go to the blade tool, select it, make a cut in your footage, go back to the cursor tool, and then come back to the timeline, you can literally set your keyboard shortcut so that you can click only one key, the keyboard shortcut being W, to literally make a cut in your footage for you. And you literally take all of those steps and turn it into just one click of a button. That's exactly what I do. And I kid you not, it saves so much time when compounded together. That leads me to tip number 3, which is color code your timeline like a maniac. Because when you're editing, your timeline should really feel like a visual roadmap. For example, once I'm finished cutting all of my A-roll, my main footage, I'll literally color code different sections based on emotional shifts that I want to evoke or have, based on certain story beats that I can recognize, or even based off tips. I usually use yellow for the intro, green for any value, blue for any personal stories, and then I like to use red for dramatic pivots or climax moments, whatever. Sometimes this changes, but it's a nice guideline I like to follow. And this way, I know where I'm at without scrubbing endlessly. I know how the story is in the video is supposed to flow without having to do so much thinking. It gives structure to my edits, and when you have structure, you're able to move more clearly and more efficiently. This is very, very easy to do also if you're in something like Premiere Pro. All you need to do is watch your video at 2x speed back, find where there's a natural change in conversation, whether it's a new tip in the video, or maybe it's just a transition or segue into a new part, or a transition or story beat in the video, or whether it's just you beginning to talk about something that we could have a shift in the story or music. Simply highlight that section, right click, go to label, and then choose the color that you want to label that section as. And it's a very similar process to do the same thing if you're editing in DaVinci Resolve, which is also a completely free editing software. Now that leads me to tip number 4, which is to storyboard with markers. I told you we'd come back to markers, and this is why. You should always be storyboarding before you touch anything else. And this one has been an absolute game changer for me. See, after I cut the A-roll and do the color coding, I then rewatch the whole thing start to finish at 2x speed. And as I'm watching, I hit the M marker to drop a marker, and literally I write what I want there to be. Maybe it's an animation, maybe it's a B-roll clip, maybe it's a zoom in or a title or a text effect. I basically create a storyboard with markers in my timeline. Like intention markers, right? Little sign points that tell future me or future you what to do in the edit. And you'll be shocked how much faster you actually move when you already decided what goes where before you start actually dragging assets in and begin editing. And it all comes down to a simple psychological principle called decision fatigue. See, there are only so many decisions that we as humans can actually make per day before becoming fatigued. And editing, literally, you have like a million decisions at every moment that you need to make. So to be able to have a whole editing session designated only for storyboarding, only for coming up with the ideas of the video, of what you want to put in the video, and then having a whole separate editing session where you actually sit down and actually implement these ideas or these storyboarding ideas into your video, you end up creating a much better video that's less emotionally taxing or mentally taxing. It's basically pre-editing without the burnout. And yes, this works in Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, and Final Cut Pro, all of them. If the editing software can make markers, then you can do this. Now, the 5th tip is to gather everything before you ever touch the timeline, because this is where most people kill their speed. They start editing, and then they're like, oh, I have a good idea for this. And then they go hunting for the B-roll or the clip or downloading music or whatever it is, trying to find that one thing, and they go online to find it, right? Well, every time you leave your timeline to go get something, you break your flow. You open Safari or Chrome, and 20 minutes later, you're watching a Mr. Beast video thinking it's research. Trust me, I've been there. So before you ever even open your project, put all your assets into one folder and organize it. And by the way, if you guys sign up for my completely free newsletter and you get the checklist that I mentioned earlier, I also have my exact folder structure in that same document that I'm sending you guys when you sign up. And it's going to be in there too, so you know exactly how to organize your footage. Now, all this might feel like a waste of time up front, but it'll save hours. Trust me. Not only that, but you'll have a less chance of decision fatigue halfway through your edits. So if you're trying to grow your channel, but editing is slowing you down, which let's be real, it probably is, these are the habits that will make the biggest difference. It's not about editing perfectly. It's about editing efficiently enough to stay consistent, to keep your energy up, and to publish better videos faster. Again, guys, if you want more tips like these every single week, as I said already twice, I send out a completely free newsletter with templates, editing systems, and breakdowns from top creators on YouTube, you name it, all in there with the goal to help you guys grow on YouTube, and it's free. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. And hey, before you go, if you want to see how I come up with high-performing ideas in the first place so you could do the same thing for your channel, then you could watch this 30-minute masterclass next. With that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one, and remember, I'm rooting for you.